If you said there was one thing that you wanted an audience of executives that would be watching this podcast, one thing to take away from a conversation that we're having, what would that be?
Yeah, look, I think HR can have different connotations. Oftentimes it's viewed as compliance and it's policing of things. And certainly there's an aspect of that, the job that is that. We certainly don't want to get in trouble by doing things that we shouldn't be doing. But that's really kind of a small part. If we're doing everything else right, it tends to not be the main focus. The main focus of our people side of things is really how do we continue to nurture our team? How do we grow our team? How do we continue to improve culture? So that is not just something that is important to me, but it's important to everybody on the executive team that they understand the value of the people side of our business. And as such, I would say we're pretty good across the board at all our department heads leaning in with our HR leader and that team to really make sure that we're hitting all our objectives from a people perspective at the departmental level. So I would just say making sure that if it was just me who cared about it and I didn't really hold each of the different departments accountable to making sure it permeates throughout the organization, that would be a problem. Ultimately, it just needs to be something that is very consistent throughout the organization.
And if you had advice for other CEOs in terms of how do they work with their HR department as a strategic lever in the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
I think in some respects, you kind of alluded to it, making sure that the HR leader has a seat at the table at the true decision making. We have a quarterly ELT in-person meeting where our HR head is very involved. And so I think that's important. It sets a tone. So everything we do also has a people lens to it. If we're building some new product, well, we got to make sure that HR understands how to align our recruiting so that it's consistent with not only skill set, but the type of person we're looking for. If we're looking at building a go-to-market team, what's the DNA of the individual that will be successful on our go-to-market team? It's not just somebody who's been in the industry for a long time, because for us, we're a disruptive force in the security industry. If somebody's been in the security industry for a very long time with one of the legacy incumbent firms, they're not a good fit. We learned that, unfortunately, a little bit the hard way. We realized that that's more of an account management role versus we want people that have an entrepreneurial DNA and have demonstrated that throughout their career. So that's aligning ourselves from recruiting on what kind of person we're looking for, not just do they know physical security, have they been in the industry, but what's their background, what kind of company have they worked with before that has an entrepreneurial, we got to evangelize a product, as opposed to it's a stake dinner approach.